Yes. So we will have a group stage for each division. We got 3 divisions, um, gold, silver, and bronze, and there will be a group stage with 8 groups. So basically, like this is like a World Cup or a Champions League. Very, very similar. Each player will be seeded into one of 4 pots, depending on their rating, their elo. And then each group will have one player from each pot. So you're going to have a
Pots are ready.
oh my god, you hear that? That's the sound of those magic balls.
The magic balls.
And then, like a World Cup or a Champions League, best 2 players go through, and then you're going to have the first place in the group playing the second place in the group, and it's going to be a knockout then until we get to the I think it's going to be best of 3s, and then in the semis it's best of 5, and the final it's best of 7. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect.
And
excellent knowledge. Tap's Handbook.
Tap's Handbook, indeed. I do need to I need to update the handbook in terms of the tiebreakers.
Okay.
For how people could go through and the groups, which is one thing I just need to highlight so people are just for transparency. I can't remember exactly what I've got down. I think it's points, and then on to overall record, and then wins versus I can't remember exactly, but I'll post it in the handbook and make sure it's on the Discord for everybody can see.
Yep. Dave's asking if we're actually doing a draft with actual physical balls. Yes, we are. This is real stuff. This is properly hype.
By magic balls.
Yep. Oh.
Pog. Yeah. Cool. But it seems like a good format. I don't know why it's not done more, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really don't know why there's not more tournaments, but it'll just mix it up a little bit. You could have a potential situation where you have, the first seed, the 9th seed. What would be the next one? The 24th? I don't even know what I'm saying now. 17th and 24th. Like all in one group, which would be like all the strongest like seeds from each pot. So I think it does add some more interest and dynamics to the gameplay instead of just having straight up this seeded player plays that seeded player, which I don't know. Like seeding for me is always a difficult thing, so it's good to have a little bit of randomness in it anyway. Whereas seeding for me is quite a broken part of tournament hosting.
Okay. Yeah. And it's nice to have a group of death kind of thing where there's one group which is like attracts a bit more of attention because of the high standard of players.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Yeah, and as Dan says it, like it's more fun. It adds like a bit of physicality to it, bit of suspense.
Definitely,
it's like the lottery. Do you remember the lottery? Do you remember before match of the day? Like they don't do it anymore because it's all online these days. But before match of the day, on a Saturday night, they'd have the live lottery draw where they'd put the balls in the machine.
Shocking, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
What happened to? I gotta load that up again. So we'll get on to the handbook.
Yeah.
I had to pull it up again though. As we're going through it, if you have any questions, please just ask in the chat, and we'll try and get our good guys can have a good look on the chat, and we'll try and just answer them as we go.
Yeah. Pinky in the brain here.
It's Pinky and the brain. Yeah. You can decide or they can decide who they think Pinky is and who Brain is. But I know myself, so it's all good.
Yeah, I know as well.
So first kind of thing to look at is just the Discord names. If you do need to contact us, it's absolutely fine, but please always look at the handbook first before coming to us. If there's something that's easily answerable, you should always be looking at the handbook first and foremost. Obviously, we do have lives outside of this. I'm also out of the country for a few weeks in totally different time zone. So that I suppose that's one good thing that I will be available at a different time of day, but it does mean that there's only going to be one person likely available for the bulk of the hours in European time. So just be kind of respectful of that. If you are going to message us, we'll try and get back to you as quick as I can. But it might take 2-3 hours. We still work at the end of the day and whatnot. So we'll see. We will see.
Yep. Thanks for saying I have a life outside of this, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. I'm clutching the straws. Civs and maps we just ran through, so that's all good. Timeline's a big thing. Sign-ups, of course, closed. Brackets announced being done right now. Tournament will start tomorrow. I mean, I would just start getting scheduling ASAP on that one, so you have a good idea. I've kind of highlighted here, players will be expected to complete their 3 group games in 2.5 weeks. So it's not going to be one. It's not going to be one game per week. You're gonna have to fit them all in, and I would schedule them all ASAP. So as soon as you know who your opponents are going to be, start DMing them so you can have a good idea of who you're going to be up against and when you can play. If you do need some help in that one, there is a thread on AoE Zone, and I can't remember what it's called. It's really funny. It's like how to schedule. So I think some people do need that, but I think what I like to try and do is just try and find a common day. Or, find multiple common days that you can play, find a time window, and then lock down a time. Once you have locked down a time, you do need to post in the Discord scheduled matches. That's really important because then the people from Wikipedia can see when the games are scheduled and then can upload that to Wikipedia, which is really important for us because there could be potential streamers out there that see some matchups and want to do some open casting of the matches. So whenever you do schedule, just make sure you post it in the scheduled matches. We can see once the group stage is complete, there'll be a quarter-final draw. Of course, it's first versus second seeds in that one. And then when the quarter-final draws, we'll also be doing the semi-final draw, just like you're doing in Champions League, essentially. And at this point, it's going to be 1 week per tie. 1 week per tie. The games all say completed by, so this is when the absolute end date they should be done, but we will be trying to live cast as much of these as we can.
For Less is asking if gold, silver, and bronze are 3 different tournaments. So essentially, yes, it's like we have 96 players between these 3 divisions, so it's like we're running 3 different Champions Leagues, essentially. So you're not going to be playing. People in silver aren't going to be playing people in gold. There's going to be one sole winner from each division, going through the group stage games and then the knockout as well.
Yep, and Dan, yes, group stage is all best of 3. All best of 3. It should be highlighted in there. It probably is somewhere else, to be honest. But yeah, just a clarification: we do get the quarterfinals and semi-finals best of 5, and I like having best of 5s and quarterfinals as well. I know sometimes you can get to we're round of 8 by that point, so yeah, best of 5 is great. And then last 16, I do need to update that actually because the initial plan was for it just to be a 16-player tournament. So I will need to actually update the handbook on the timeline in that one, which I'll take a note of. Because it was only meant to be 16 players, of course, it grew arms and legs. We're up to 32 now, and it's going into a last 16, so it's exactly like Champions League.
Exactly.
Prize pool, of course, was sponsored by Cerberus AoE, Cameron, and Loyal Nobody. So 500 from Cameron and 100 from Loyal Nobody. We'll talk about the sponsors a little bit after the handbook, but the prize split is 280 for first place. Second is 120. Third and fourth are both going to get 50 each, and then 58th, 25 each. So $600 added up. All the money's secured already, so it's all ready to pay out, and I'll be doing it via PayPal. But it's all good to go. Secured the money, which is fantastic. Obviously, sometimes with sponsorships, you have to wait for the money to come through and whatnot, but it was really important for me to get that done beforehand, so we weren't left hung and dry. You just never know. That's the thing. Guidelines, all good. There was a couple of people that we had to deny entry to just because of win rates potentially being a little bit too high and dropping some games. So we have looked through all the accounts. There might be some that we have missed. If you have any kind of suspicions or you think somebody might be a smurf, just send us a DM and we will kind of handle it from there. The map pack is in the mod center, just called Battle for Scotland. Really easy to do. And then on the best of threes, just to start off, you just pick home maps from them. They walk in, A, B, it's all here, and then you got to ban them out until you have one left. Now, I understand this is quite a laborious process, but I'm not a big fan of set maps, so I would much rather have some variety in here, and then every set could be potentially different. So you're just going to ban all the rest of the maps till you have one left, and it's a neutral map, you know? It's pretty much an exclusive agreement between two players that's like, okay, well, we didn't want to play all these maps, preceded it, but let's try and find some common ground on a map that we could both potentially kind of want to play, which is good. You know, I think it's a really good format to have for a tournament.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, without a civ draft, a traditional civ draft, you know, it's I think it's okay to have a little bit more with the maps like this.
Exactly. And then in best of 5, it will just be ABBA, and then in best of 7, ABB, AAB. And then it's as simple as that. Wizard previous game picks next home map from their next map from their available home maps. On the maps, of course, can't be repeated. So once you have your maps, hidden pick, no repeat. You also need to declare your wild card before the set's begun. So higher seed will start with that, and you just need to make sure that it's declared. So the opponent should have an idea if you're going to potentially pick that civ in the lobby, which, you know, I did kind of think about, or, you know, we did think about, it would be kind of interesting to have it undeclared, but from a competitive standpoint, it's probably not the best thing to do. So, yeah, you have to declare it before the set has begun. Game and patch, we're going to have to make sure we're all in the most recent one, which is going to be really important, especially considering the new DLC's been out. Cheating and hacking, these could be something we'll be looking out for some bug abuse if people are doing it, and you know, there's some great areas in this one, but we will be looking at it in terms of what that could look like. You know, respect and cooperation, make sure you, I think the respect thing's a big one for me, you know, when somebody's trying to communicate in terms of scheduling, you know, you shouldn't be leaving them hanging dry for like 48 hours or 72 hours, whatever it is. You know, it's up to you guys to be quite prompt with your responses. Obviously, some people have work and whatnot, and we get that. But if somebody communicates, just try and do your best to reciprocate that. Miscellaneous is one of my favorite ones. Rules may be added and modified at any time prior to during event, and maps may be added to and maybe added and or updated during event if deemed necessary. So if there's any if this does need to get done, we will be letting you guys know. Dave,
Yep.
yes, the wild cards can be the same. So you could pick. Yes, yeah, you could do that. You could do that. Yeah, I had a moment there. I was like, yeah, you can pick the same. You can pick the same.
Yeah.
Okay, brackets. So free leagues, of course. It was initially going to be 16 players, but we're up to 32 for each, which is fantastic. And then we'll be on to the single elimination playoffs as well. We did have, for anyone that didn't make the main event, the single elimination bracket 2, which I will be posting just before we get the draw started for the Bronze League. Seeding's all been done with an average in current scheduling. Yeah, all that's in here. I did post these rules in the scheduling channel. The channels haven't all been made available yet. We still need to add the rules, which we will be doing either. Well, I'll probably be doing it tonight after Good Guy heads off to bed. Because I'm such a nice guy, you know?
Yeah, nice guy and good guy.
Sounds like a good parent.
Spudgy's asking if you can use your wild card on a civ that's already one of the 7 civs. And I know you want to play Goths every game, Spudgy, but
Hidden civ, no repeat.
No is the answer to that.
God.
Good Good to check though.
Sheesh.
Coughs on Handbook.
I'm actually literally on there on the screen in that time, but it has been mentioned a few times before this. Cannot repeat. Cannot repeat. Technical difficulties, this could sometimes happen. If you can't restore it, then you have to let us know, because then we're going to have to make a decision in terms of the game should be replayed. And a lot of that's down to how far you're into the game, potential score and advantage. If there's something that looks like really clear cut, then we may have to award an admin win to a player, which can happen. Which, with some people's internet, Adam, it's something we definitely have to be aware of. But just try and communicate as much as you can on that one. Game restarts, everyone's allowed one. Just got to be 1%. It's just got to be before 4 minutes. There could be some instances where you need an admin which can be obviously, the best admins or the best tournaments are going to have an admin in every game, so they can actually look at it and contact players. But it's not really possible for us. So if you do notice anything, you can try and claim an admin win, but it's got to be obviously still going to be prompt. We're giving you 2 extra minutes, and you've got to contact us so we can give that to you guys. And there's some conditions there in terms of what that would mean. Of course, you shouldn't really be pausing in the middle of the game to check the handbook and find out what these are. So try and have it in your mind what this actually means and what the conditions are when you can actually use them. I prefer players to not pause as much as they can. If you're sitting down to play a game, you're sitting down to play a game. Obviously, some things to happen. Maybe you've got post or mail coming. If you really do need to pause, then do it. But please don't be pausing to check the handbook for rules, because that drives me fucking insane. NBL. Match rules, swimming's allowed, dishing's allowed, trusting's allowed, strike or tree hopping is also allowed. If you have a spare little piece of wood outside your base, wall around it. Please don't just leave it as part of your wall. Then you're asking for something.
Oh yeah, that's a strategic choice to try and save that. To save that wood on the palisade, you're potentially hurting yourself.
If you need a wood break, are we allowed pauses in? I mean, if you're like an hour into the game, like for sure, then going for the toilet it's not an issue. That's understandable. See, if you're like 2 minutes into a game when you just had a break, then you've got to be questioning your choices there. Like, you probably should have went to the toilet before the game had started, but maybe you've got IBS or
you got a doctor's note.
Yeah, I just got a leaky bladder. I have a very leaky bladder, actually. More often than not, because I drink quite a bottle of water, some other liquid when I'm on the laptop. But yeah, I do know what it's like to pee a lot. I hope I don't have any problems. I hope. Nomad rules we went over very briefly. There's nothing here that's particularly wild. Says blaming wild animals are not allowed. I'm not sure why that's even in there. That's a strange one. Especially on Nomad where we don't have wild animals. Need to delete that. Main thing is you can't wall in enemy units. You can't construct your TC, which is fine because there's a treaty anyway. You can steal herdables, but you just can't attack each other until it is. And the first thing it's only in the first 3 minutes of the game time. So when you read it, please read every line. It's only the first 3 minutes. This is for the full game. And if you are going to lame someone within the first 3 minutes, you've got to make sure your villager takes. This is for 35 res, and it's always going to be for a deer or what do you may call it? A boar, of course. Yeah, that's probably the only instance that's going to happen. And of course, if you're laming a goal, that's pretty clear cut, and that's going to be walling it out, which is not allowed in the first 3 minutes. But after 3 minutes is gone, you should be all good to go. That's the thing. So we're just looking to get the game and the flow going up. But of course, the laming is part of Nomad, but just don't be a dickhead in the first 3 minutes of the game. It's really as simple as that. Really as simple as that. 2 minute spec delay. If you're kind of suspicious of anybody, having a spec sheet, again, you got to let us know. But please be very careful of your accusations and there's always it's quite common. There's a spec bug these days where it comes up as a one. So I wouldn't be alarmed if there's only one. If there's a spectator and it says one, but if it says two or three, then that would be alarm bells going off for me. The lobby settings are all there. Regicide must be enabled for Fortress. Also, when you're posting Rex, make sure it's done right. It's got to have game 1, game 2. It's got to also be taken out and edited for the and labeled correctly. It's got to be Paradox 303 versus Good Guy. It shouldn't just have the file name. That's no use. I won't be casting any games if it's just a file name. Make sure you put in the home maps and then also the game 1. And then also the round that it's played. Streaming, really simple. Any players can play it. You just got to make sure you're making the requirements here. And I do have a channel on the Discord. I'm just trying to think. It's got all the streaming materials which you can use. But the main thing is having the sponsor command, which is number 4. And then if you could add a host command if you're a streamer as well. Just afterwards, but you should always have the tournament logo or the banner available at any point, and then the sponsor one as well, which I'll actually be posting on the Discord what that would look like. Should make it really simple. And then it's just a changelog at the end. Not had anything in the last couple of weeks, but I will be adding a couple of things that I've just thought of tonight. You don't need to have a stream delay. I suppose there's always a risk that someone's either getting help from their own chat. But the other thing is the device could be bad, so it's always up to the player whether they take it or not. And then there could also just be the other player just stream sniping them anyway. And there's not a whole lot we can really do about that. Just the risk you always have as a player. But if you do have any suspicions, you've got to present us with good evidence that that's been going on. And I think that is us for the handbook.
Yep.
Ramike sounded right.
Yeah, good stuff.